Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm gonna need you to save the date for this TikTok wedding drama.
I just love those situations where I don't have to dig in my vault for a good story time. It just lands in my lap. A story that I was never going to tell because of how horrible it is. So I'm going to change around some details because I don't know how many people of this bridal party know that this happened. But I know that there's a huge stir up after the wedding now. So I did my part in keeping the secrets that I needed to keep. So I had a bride come in from a recommendation looking for bridesmaids dresses. She already had everything planned out, but she waited a little too long to order her bridesmaids dresses. So now they're in my shop and we're talking about timelines. And the bride's like, you know what? I want to gift at least half of the price of the dresses to the bridesmaids. So I'll cover it and they'll just pay me back the other half.
Okay, that's nice.
Like, do you just want to put it all on one credit card? Do you want to do separate invoices? She decided to do everything on separate invoices so that when the girls came to pick up their individual dresses, they didn't have to come in a group setting. They can come individually, and it's so much better for paperwork on my end. I just pull the individual's invoice, I get her dress, and I can put that away once the dress is picked up or altered or whatever it is. I don't have to keep a running total of pickups on one invoice.
Okay, makes sense. It
was great because everyone had their own copy too, and I didn't have to worry about that. The bride in the end just went ahead. We stapled all of them together for her to have a copy. All the bridesmaids signed off on them, and so did the bride. Signatures, agreeing to the document, agreeing to the size, agreeing to the measurements, agreeing to the price, agreeing to everything on it cumulatively. All the bridesmaids and the bride.
Okay.
One thing did happen, though, before the bride came in. About 15-20 minutes before the whole bridal party showed up and the bride, two of the multiple bridesmaids that were in this wedding came to my shop early and said to me, listen, Kasha, we're pregnant. We don't want the bride to know. We won't be really showing that much yet at the wedding, but I don't know because the one girl is having her second and the other girl is having her first. And those that have had children know that with the second child, you start to show a little bit sooner and everything just sits different. So they wanted to make sure I knew. By the time of the wedding, whether she found out or not, they weren't worried too much. They knew they couldn't talk about it now because the bride would lose it.
Why? Why would the bride lose it to find out her friends were pregnant? I don't understand. Shouldn't she be happy for them? I'm confused. All right, go on.
I said, not a problem. Even if the bride weren't to lose it, if they asked me to keep that as a secret, no problem. We keep a secret. So what we had agreed is that not to talk about sizes in front of the bride. And a lot of the bridesmaids asked to get measured separately in a separate room. No problem. When we tried on dresses, I try not to make a big deal about sizes unless someone asks a question. But if I see that someone's uncomfortable, I take them in the fitting room, we talk about it. I already was prepared what I had to do. So when we saw what was fitting on the girls, we all agreed to go up 2 sizes from them.
Okay, makes sense.
What they wanted to do. I said, no problem. I thought it was good thinking.
Right.
But you have to keep in mind that the bride gets a copy of all these documents because she's paying for the dress. So when they were trying on their dresses, we didn't discuss the size on the tag itself because I didn't want the bride to know that we were actually going up 2 sizes from what they were trying on. So that was a little bit of a circus for me in my head because I had to keep remembering that with all the hustle and bustle of everyone in the room. But I think we kept it together. I think we did a great job of it.
Wow, all of this to keep that they were pregnant from the bride? I fail to understand why she couldn't know. But something tells me we're going to find out.
But there were still 2 girls that needed to place their orders, aside of all the women that had already come in to place their orders. So in the meantime, the bride had these documents and she had the time to think about it and hash things over in her head. And she calls me. Now, mind you, everyone already signed off on their documents, those that came in for that initial appointment. And all these dresses had to be ordered on a rush because it was so late in the game. We only had 4 months and we still needed to have time for alterations. So when we did this, we had told the bride that you have to bring in the other 2 girls within the next 2 days so we can get the order in by this and this date so that we can still get in on this particular order, this particular ship date. So she was cool with that. Okay, fine. But after we had that conversation, she went home and hashed it over in her head. She decided that she wanted me to change the sizes in all the bridesmaids' dresses.
What?
And I said, I have no problem with doing that. Even though I have a point in my contract that says there are no changes to any orders, the order was not placed yet. So, I mean, sometimes someone will go home and say, oh, I forgot I'm running the marathon. I'm going to be in better shape than I am now. Let's order a size smaller. Or you know what? I'm going to start that new medication and I might gain some weight, so they go up a size. Or they just have a nutritional journey or a diet journey, whatever the case is.
It's none of your business.
Just not sure the size is going to fit, and they'd rather go larger and not worry about the dress not fitting later. They could do the alterations.
Period.
Whatever your reasoning is, if the order's not placed, I can still make a change. I'm willing to make exceptions. But in this situation, they had two parties signing each invoice. So we had the bride signing it and the person signing it. So I couldn't just go ahead and have the bride just go ahead and start making changes to these orders. These bridesmaids chose their sizes for a reason. Plus, I was keeping that secret for the two bridesmaids. So she's like, yeah, I need you to change the sizes, all of them, at least one size down. And I think this and this bridesmaid can probably go down 2 sizes. I'm going to make sure of it.
Make sure of it? What the hell does that mean? Are you implying that you're gonna make them lose weight for your wedding? All right, I see why they didn't say anything, and it's because we're dealing with a bridezilla.
And I'm thinking to myself, this is not 2 girls. These are not her daughters. These are not her sisters either. These are all her friends. And everyone has a journey that they may not even be sharing. And I said to her, I'm sorry, but I can't do that on my own. I'll be more than happy to change it if I can get written confirmation from the bridesmaid that she would like that. And we can go from there, you know? But she's like, oh, and I don't think that we need to do that. So she didn't want the bridesmaids to know that she was doing it. She just wanted to go ahead and do it. And I said, how do you know they're going to lose this weight? Well, I'm going to make sure of it. I work in the medical field. I definitely can make sure to get them the meds they need in order to go ahead and lose that weight.
Absolutely not. What are you going to do? Put them on drugs? Just so that they could fit into a dress for your wedding? Oh God, I feel like she's even just shooting herself in the foot. Like, you can't just like change a size and make it smaller, because then you're gonna end up with a bunch of dresses that don't fit. And then you can't do anything about it, because once they're smaller, there's not much you can do to make them bigger. Oh hell no, throw the whole bride away.
In my head, I'm thinking to myself, she's gonna put these girls on meds? How does she know anyone's gonna want that? How absolutely insane and how presumptuous of her to think that anyone's going to want to do that.
I'm sorry, what would you do if your friend asked you to be a bridesmaid and she told you that you needed to lose weight before her wedding? I'd be like,
what friend?
The side effects that you can get from any medication, because I'm sorry, if someone asked me
plus they're
to lose weight
pregnant
for their wedding, I would politely step down.
Yeah.
And say, I don't know. I don't even know if I'd stay friends with those people. But I said to her, I'm like, listen, I don't at this point, I don't even want to know your process, what you're going to do. I cannot do this without consent. I have to get their consent on this. And keep in mind, 2 girls are pregnant, so they can't
be on medication.
And I'm sitting there like, oh my God, she's really going to do this. She's like, you have to do this for me. I paid for the dress. I'm like, you might be financially responsible for these dresses, but they all signed a contract. These are grown adults.
Just because you're paying for a dress, that does not mean you have a right to tell your friends to lose weight. Are you You're absolutely buddy.
They signed over what they wanted. If I go ahead and start changing this without their written consent, I can actually have a lawsuit against me. So I'm not doing this without them. I'm sorry. She was so upset. She's like, I paid for them though, but I paid for them. I go, you know what? Get them on the phone. Let's go ahead and change these sizes with them knowing. She's like, oh no, I'm not calling anybody. So she didn't want to do the dirty work. She wanted me to do the dirty work. She wanted me to be shady, and she wanted me to go ahead and change these sizes for them. And I said, I'm not doing that. So she called me 2 more times, threatening me by the second time. I said, if you call me about this again, I will call everybody and let them know what you're trying to do, and I'm going to cancel the entire order. Please don't ask me to do something that is basically illegal, first of all, and it's unethical. I'm sorry, on so many different levels. And I don't like the fact that you're putting me in this position, because it's unprofessional on a lot of different levels as well. So she goes into the whole thing. I'm sorry, I think that you're the one that's unprofessional because you're not doing what I, as the client, I'm asking you to do. I'm like, you as a client are asking me to do something unethical, and I am not going to do it. Don't ask me to do this again. And I ended the conversation, hung up the phone. I sat there and I'm like, I cannot believe that someone is trying to do this. I thought that we were beyond these kind of things. But then I started thinking about the way the actual appointment went, and it made a little bit more sense because she wanted a specific look. She was getting aggravated that not everyone looked the same as this one particular girl in the bridal party. But I digress. Whatever, it's her wedding. If that's what she wants to do, and if the girls want to put up with it, that's on them, right? But it doesn't end there.
Oh, brother, are we actually freaking serious? There's more? There's more? How could it possibly get any worse? When did it become a thing to like want your friends to fit in a specific dress size and to look all the same for your wedding? Does what your friends look like really matter to you that much? We're going to part 2, baby. I need to hear more.
The bride stopped calling me. The other 2 girls came in and placed their orders. The bride had paid in advance for those 2 dresses, so she didn't even have to come back. So she was lucky in that sense because she didn't have to face me ever again after.
Because she's embarrassed.
At the same rate, the dresses came in. Bridesmaids came and picked up their dresses. They did their alterations. Everything was great. I never uttered a word past then. I did have private conversations with the 2 pregnant bridesmaids. Everything was on the down low. Everything was hush hush. No one knew they were pregnant. My work here is done, right?
Wrong.
So the wedding happened this last August. I just got a phone call this week, and all hell broke loose. So I guess somehow at the wedding, one of the bridesmaids either spilled the beans or someone had said something about one of the bridesmaids being pregnant. And the bride lost it for some reason.
What?
So how could you be pregnant at my wedding?
Wow! Be freaking for real, dude. Seriously? First of all, you should be happy for your friends if they're pregnant. And second of all, I'm sorry, do you just expect all time to stop while you're getting married, like in the year before? Like people aren't allowed to live their lives and start a family because you're getting married?
You didn't know. And if you didn't know, how is this affecting your wedding?
Period.
I guess she got upset that somehow she found out at the wedding that other people knew, and then it became a whole issue. Who else knew, and why didn't you tell me? And I wouldn't have had you stand up. And she's like, why would I not stand up? I'm here. I'm fine. I could stand up to your wedding. You didn't even know that I'm pregnant until I told you something now. So it's like it became a whole issue. Then like, what else do I not know? And the other bridesmaid seeing this craziness, and she's like, I'm pregnant too. So I'm finding all this out. The bride is losing it supposedly. Oh my God. Luckily it was towards the end of the wedding. So it ended on a low note for her. For some reason, I don't know why the bride let this ruin her day.
Period. I don't understand why the bride has such a problem with it. Like, this is supposed to be the happiest days of your life and you're worried about your friend's uterus.
And it came out. She goes, I will never be on Instagram with pregnant bridesmaids. And so I'm just like, that was her biggest deal, apparently. So she wanted to be on Instagram. But I mean, I'm thinking to myself, I've seen many bridal parties on Instagram with pregnant bridesmaids. I don't get that. So I don't know what it was in her head. She wanted a certain look for her pictures.
Oh, brother.
And she was upset that this was what happened.
Listen, okay, I just feel like weddings these days have just become one big photo shoot. One big photo opportunity. And it's not about getting married anymore. It's about the Instagram likes. I'm just blown away. Blown away.
But I don't understand. The largest bridesmaid's dress that was in that bridal party for a pregnant bridesmaid was a size 10. A 10. So that means that she was fitting a size 6 regular clothes. These ladies were all very small. So I don't know what this bride was trying to do, what her vision was, but she was treating these bridesmaids like puppets. But then it came down to me. I get the phone call saying, why did you tell the bridesmaids? I go, what did I tell the bridesmaids? Well, you told them that I was trying to get them on a diet. I'm like, I didn't say anything to anybody. And then she's like, well, the 2 bridesmaids didn't want to tell me they were pregnant. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. What does that have to do with your drug situation? What does that have to do with me? I told you I never want to hear about this again. I think it's completely unethical, and I have my own opinion about what you are saying to me about this particular issue. I mean, I would never put my bridesmaids on a drug for a picture.
Period.
I'm sorry.
That's what's up.
Well, good thing your opinion doesn't count, she said to me. I'm like, what can I help you? She hung up the phone. She really didn't call me with the reason. She wanted to throw into my face what was happening. But again, it doesn't end there. So one of the bridesmaids calls me and says, you won't believe what happened. So, I mean, I have developed, and it was one of the pregnant bridesmaids. So I had developed a relationship or friendship or whatever you want to call it with these bridesmaids. And that happens a lot. They start to tell me about things that go on. This is how my story times develop usually. And they told me about what had happened, how she was behaving the entire time. She apparently got fired from her job because she was stealing some kind of drugs from work. And I'm thinking to myself, is this medication, this diet medication, or the diabetic medication. Is this really
Ozempic?
available in offices? So I think she was in some way involved in some kind of deal.
Whoa!
Where she was getting meds illegally. And she was trying to give them to someone in the bridal party because that one person agreed to lose weight with her. And it went like wildfire. And then she started saying, oh my God, she was trying to get us all to lose weight using this med. We didn't want to take it. We weren't sure if it was something that was imported from overseas or if it was something that was legit. Not to mention, I'm pregnant. I'm not doing this.
Period. No periods.
All hell
if you're
broke loose,
pregnant.
and I was almost a scapegoat in this situation. I don't know how, in what way, on what planet, she was trying to make this my fault. But this is the kind of crazy I have to deal with sometimes. And I'm so glad that these bridesmaids did not give into it. None of these girls are talking to her anymore.
I wouldn't either.
I'm always team bride, you guys, but that was a difficult one to be team bride for, honestly.
Honestly.
I was very grateful for the order. I'm grateful for the business. But honestly, if I see a review because she threatened me, saying that she's gonna tell everybody how horrible I am, I'm like, what did I do here? And I asked her this question. Actually, that's the one thing I didn't tell you. I asked her the question, what is it that I did wrong here? Can you honestly tell me what I did wrong here? You ordered dresses from me. You contracted me to get you dresses. I got you the dresses. They fit pretty well, too. They mostly all just needed hems. No one really needed any other work. You didn't have sizing issue. What is the deal? What did I do wrong here? And that's when she threw the phone down. Because she has nothing, no ammunition. She's just very angry that none of it went her way. I don't know what the vision was for her, but don't do this to yourself, guys. I mean, it's one day in your life. It's the most important day for you. I get it, but these are your friends and family, and you're treating them like they're puppets or some kind of rag doll that don't matter, that they need to do everything that you utter, that they have. Yes, they're there to be there to support you. They're not there to be your puppets.
That's what's up.
Please don't treat your friends like this, because that's one of the reasons a lot of friendships fall apart. The worst comes out in people during weddings, whether it be from one side or the other. Don't let this be the way that you go down with your friends. That is just, my heart goes out to the bridal party, and I really hope that this bride sees what she's done here and that she can somehow make amends with this bridal party, because these were wonderful people. I loved working with them, but I was thrown through a loop. Like, who in their right mind would ask someone to lie? I mean, I'm a business professional. I don't know her. And I wouldn't even do it for my friend, much less. Hey, I still hashtag Team Bride, but don't ask me to do illegal stuff, okay?
Noted. I will definitely avoid asking you to do illegal stuff if I ever order a dress from you. Thank you for the reminder. I didn't realize that people needed a reminder for that sort of thing. Oh, brother, what a roller coaster. That is just absolutely ridiculous. How are you not embarrassed? Moving on.
Oh, honey, the stories that I have. I used to be a wedding photographer, and I've done around 200 weddings. And I have a lot of stories. Like, a lot. But there's one story that always seems to take the cake for the best wedding story. I was working in the office, and I got a call on a Tuesday from our Saturday bride. She said, "Are you our photographer?" "Yeah." "Okay, well, I need to cancel." "Okay, we need it in writing, so can you email it?" "Sure, no problem." Now, typically when they cancel, especially the week of, they're either very pissed or very sad. She wasn't. She was happy. It was weird. So on Wednesday, we get an email from the groom's aunt, who had apparently bought it for them as a wedding package, saying that there will never be a wedding between those two because the bride got married to someone else on Monday. She got married to someone else the same week. She was supposed to marry someone else.
Did she want to hire you to shoot that too? Dang, okay. You mean to tell me she was having 2 weddings while I can't even get a date? Like, literally, like when I do these videos and I listen to these stories, I just wonder, how are there so many wonderful people out there who aren't getting married, can't even get a date, and yet these absolute waste case psycho human beings, these waste youths, somehow are getting married. How's that possible? Oh, that doesn't even trump 14 years wedding photography. I had one bride leave the ceremony with the best man forever in front of everyone. Yeah, my coworker worked a wedding where the groom was caught in the limo with a maid of honor by the bride's dad. Oh my goodness. Is it that hard to just be like a respectable person? Like, I'm all for love, guys, but like, couldn't you have figured out that you weren't interested in marrying this person before the wedding?
Girl, I got the stories for
Give it to
you.
me.
Yes, multiple
Give it to
stories.
me.
I'm going to try to fit them all in. Let's go. Okay, 2 weeks before our wedding, my husband's uncle, who's the patriarch of the family and like a father to my husband, passed away. We unfortunately had to scrape together a funeral 1 week before our wedding at the same location that we were getting married. Immediately after the funeral, we discovered that my husband's aunt, his wife, has a massive drinking problem and pill problem. So we have to get her into a rehab facility. She goes through some treatment. She's doing great. A couple weeks later, she comes out and dies 10 days after our wedding. And if that wasn't enough, having to bury 2 of the patriarchs of my husband's family within 1 month of each other, on our wedding night, my husband's best man, so-called best friend, had a mental breakdown and came and woke us up where we were sleeping on our wedding night at 5 in the morning to try to convince one of us to take him back to the city, which was over an hour away.
Are you fucked, buddy? What is it about weddings that just makes people go absolutely bat crazy? Has anyone ever had a wedding with like that went off without a hitch? Because I feel like doing these videos is like kind of distorting my view on weddings. Like, are they always full of drama or are they ever normal?
Okay, so the night of my wedding, everything was going great so far, and at the end of our reception and ceremony and the whole end of the night, we still had to pay the remainder balance to our caterer. We had talked to her previously. She said, don't worry about it, that she'll take a check at the end of the night and everything will be good. Well, we were already 10 sheets to the wind and had way too much to drink, and we went to go tell her and finalize the item bill, and she tried to charge us about $8,000 more than what was promised.
No.
This caused a huge show, and I started screaming, my mother started screaming, my husband started screaming, he screamed at his father. Everybody was very, very, very upset. Needless to say, we were in a lawsuit for almost 2 years, and also, one of my bridesmaids called my mother-in-law a
Oh my goodness. She was totally trying to take advantage of the fact that y'all were too drunk. Listen, it doesn't matter how drunk I get, I will notice an extra $8,000 on a bill. I don't know how drunk you have to be to let that kind of amount slide. It's like, oh, whatever, it's fine. We spent $70,000 on our wedding. What's another $8,000? No, absolutely not.
That's called the wedding service fee. We just add that on at the end of the night.
Let me just flip that on your receipt. That was some TikTok wedding drama, and honestly, I need a break after that. That was a lot. Subscribe!